is Step 1 with Freddie Wilson. Welcome to another episode of Step 1. I am Freddie Wilson. As a reminder, you can find every episode of Step 1 on Spotify and YouTube. And if you want to see more Step 1, give me a follow on Instagram at Step 1 with Freddie Wilson and Twitter at Step 1 Podcast. Got a great show for you today. My good friend Joseph Murciano is returning to the show to help break down the college football playoff bracket. We also got a championship weekend of college football to recap where you may have noticed I was at the Big Ten championship game. Go Ducks, baby. And we have a wild weekend of football or NFL football to recap. All right, let's ride. All right, we'll start with college football. And full disclosure, I did not watch all the championship games. I went to the Big Ten championship game in Indianapolis. So let's start there because it was an awesome game and just a great experience. It was mostly Penn State fans. But Oregon fans do show up, and they did. There were also a bunch of sad Ohio State fans there who were cocky and bought tickets a while back, assuming they were shooing for this game. But Michigan had other plans for them. The game was awesome, and Oregon put on an offensive clinic. And while, yes, I will admit I did get nervous when Penn State made it interesting in the fourth quarter, at the end of the day, they were never really going to win, and they never really had a shot. Oregon was just too good. And I did notice Penn State fans seem to know exactly what they are. They are not cocky at all. They know they're good, but they know they aren't good enough to compete against the big boys. They can't hang with the top 5 teams. And also, I will say this: Penn State fans were very nice. Like, they were not mean to me at all. They were very friendly. There was, maybe a little bit of shit talk, but nothing crazy. I have had worse experiences with opposing fans, and I will say, Utah fans are really mean. As for other games, Arizona State is awesome. No one expected this to happen, and it's really cool to see him play at this level. Texas still can't beat Georgia, even with Carson Beck getting injured, and SMU finally lost the game in the ACC as they fell to Clemson. Moving into the NFL, we had a great weekend of games, and it all started Thursday night with the Packers and Lions. Now, I am disappointed Packers lost, but the Lions played a hell of a game. I can't be that mad. This game could have gone either way. The Lions went for it on 4th down and sure the Packers would never get a chance to go score. And even with Jared Goff tripping, they still got the 1st down. The old Lions would have fumbled it. The Packers would have won. This is a new era in Detroit. And also, I didn't watch all the game. I was at a hockey game in Buffalo. I missed the first half. I will say, Buffalo Sabres is a really cool experience. If they were to ever make the playoffs, which they won't, but we can dream, it's going to be an awesome atmosphere because Buffalo is such a great sports town. I mean, you've seen the Bills fans, and it's a great hockey town. So if they ever make the playoffs, definitely tune into a couple games because it's going to be rocking in that arena. Moving into Sunday, didn't really watch the games on Sunday. I was on the road, and I went to a basketball game at Purdue. If you are a college basketball fan, go to a game at Purdue. It's incredible. The stadium is a dome, so the seats are circling around the court. The fans are loud and passionate. It's just a great basketball school. I highly recommend if you ever find yourself in Indiana, go to a Purdue game. But that being said, regarding football, we can recap a couple games. There's a few things we can say. The Bears, Jets, and Giants, they all still suck. Sam Darnold's really good, which is something I never thought I would say on this podcast. And in the afternoon, the Rams and Bills had an awesome game with a lot of scoring. On Sunday night, the Chiefs found a way to win another one-score game, this time with a field goal that went after hitting the upright. Okay, the Chiefs are good. We know they're good. But how this style of winning, how long is it sustainable? It just seems like nothing can stop them. And when's this going to end? Because, again, these things go in waves. And they're at the top of the wave. It's just a question of when's it all going to come crashing down because they can't keep winning these one-score games. It does not seem sustainable. And on Monday night, the Bengals got a much-needed win with a little luck. It was a blocked punt by the Cowboys, but then the Cowboys touched it and didn't recover it, and the Bengals were able to get the ball. And the Bengals still have a slim chance of making the playoffs, but I don't think it's going to happen. But if they do, I believe they are going to be a team no one wants to see. And now, let's get to my interview with Joseph Murciano. All right. Today we welcome on a reoccurring guest. We're here to do our college football playoff bracket preview. We got Joseph Murciano building. Joseph, welcome back. How excited are you for this 12-team playoff?
I'm very excited. I'm a little bummed that Michigan is not in it, but I was not
They were
expecting
nowhere
them to
near
be.
making it.
I know, but at the end of the season, they caught fire,
They
and I
they
think
caught
they're among
fire
the
by
better
being Ohio
12
State,
teams.
which okay, before we get into that, let's talk about that game. You're a Michigan man. Did you really be honest? Did you think they had any business winning that game before
I
the game started? Be honest.
so I thought that I thought for a second that there was going to be weather involved, and if there was weather involved, it would turn into a ground game, and they had a chance. But no, I really didn't think they had any chance. But they called a great game.
They
I
called a great
mean,
game, and also like Ryan Day can't figure out how to beat Michigan. That's a problem.
I think it's a combination of that and Ohio State just not really being that good.
I think they're. I still think like, and we'll get into it later. I still mad that Oregon might have to play them again. We got lucky we didn't have to play them the Big Ten championship, which I was at, and we beat the shit out of Penn State. And Penn State fans are everything I thought they would be. They know exactly what they are. They know they are good. They know they're not great, and they are so mad about being stuck in this endless time loop of like going like 11 and well, in this case 11-2 or 10-2, never winning the big game, and knowing like we have a team. And by the way, I actually have a surprise for you. We got another guest coming in. You're gonna know who he is.
I'm excited. Wow.
You're gonna know who he is. He was very excited to join us. I know it says Sandman, but it's you'll know who he is. It's Nadav Herstik, by the way. Nadav
No, no
Nadav
way.
was so excited to do this. He heard you were coming on the show, and he wanted to be here. Nadav, are you gonna turn your camera? He's just playing Enter Salmon. Nadav, I can't do that. I have to copyright that. There he
It's
is.
time! It is time!
So yes, Nadav was
The
very excited.
time has come!
Well, good thing we were just talking about Ohio State, Michigan. Nadav, a fellow Michigan man, I asked Jovis, did you think you had a chance of winning that game before it unfolded? Be honest.
Absolutely not, Freddie. I didn't
Okay.
think we had a single chance.
That's what I thought. I did not think they were going to win either. I thought I was going to go see Oregon Ohio State rematch, and I was very nervous about that because I still think Ohio State could win it all. But before
Well,
we
the worst
get,
part is Ohio State benefited from losing that game.
they did in a sense, but I still think, and we'll get into it. We're going to go in order. I still think Tennessee is going to give them a run for their money. But let's start with the Friday night game in South Bend, Indiana. Indiana Notre Dame. I can't say I thought about Notre. I knew Notre Dame's good. I have not thought about Notre Dame since NIU. Like once they lost to NIU, I thought like I didn't think they were out of it. I just thought like I wrote them off. And no, they're a very good team. But
Yeah.
and it's gonna be fun. That's Indiana. We got Signetti rocking here. We're a Signetti podcast. And I just feel like it's going to be a fun game, but I think Notre Dame's just going to win it just because I think they're the more experienced and a better team, to be honest. I think Indiana isn't there yet.
I would agree with you in principle, but Notre Dame are just classic choke artists,
I
and I
know,
love watching it.
but they
It's
beat
so
A and
awesome.
they went to College Station week 1 and beat A&M, so you have to give them that.
Yeah,
I know that
there.
was their marquee win.
Yeah, and yeah, there is that, but they're not that good of a team. And Indiana, I actually think is really good.
Yeah,
I really like
I
their
don't deny it.
coach.
They're very good.
I really like their coach, but I think that what you're going to see is a classic Big Ten game where the score is like 7-3 at
I
halftime,
mean,
and one team will
it's
win like
probably going to be cold.
14-10.
It's probably going to be cold up in South Bend,
Yeah, it's going to
and
be a lot of three and outs.
I think Indiana fans are going to travel because it's not that far to South Bend from Bloomington, like
No,
relatively
not at
speaking.
all. Yeah,
So I think it's going to be like a 64. I think Indiana fans are going to show out. I think it's going to be an awesome environment on a Friday night game. And I think the big X factor is Riley Leonard going to show up because Notre Dame can run the ball, but when they need to throw it, can Riley Leonard get it done?
no. He hasn't been able to get it done all season. He's not just going to turn it on in the playoffs.
I mean, he probably won't. I think he's a decent quarterback. I mean, obviously there are better quarterbacks out there.
Yeah, there are better quarterbacks. So I think the question for that game is more so just going to be, is the Indiana quarterback going to show up?
Is
He's
Curtis
been
O'Rourke? Curtis O'Rourke is pretty good, but like, yeah, like
there's been times where he was terrible, right? Against Michigan. I think in the second half he threw 2 picks and didn't have more than 50
in
yards.
Ohio State, they obviously got demolished. Like
Yeah,
this Indiana team is ahead of schedule, but like I don't know if they're ready to. I think they need a year or two to compete with the big boys, and I think they're on the track to be. It blows my mind to say this. Indiana might be a factor in the Big Ten for years to come, and we're not. And we're
yeah.
not talking basketball. We are talking football. But Tom, I have to copyright any music you use. What if Metallica sues me?
Freddie,
All right.
nobody's gonna. Metallica is not gonna be aware of this because
All right.
we're. They don't listen to football podcasts. All
Let's
right,
talk
Freddie?
about this side of this part of the bracket. The winner of this game plays Georgia. Carson Beck might not be playing, and I think the 2 spot for Georgia is generous.
Totally.
I think first of all, I think Georgia's very good. They're not the Georgia of the last 3 years, and I think I think they got lucky against They got no, not Clemson. They played Texas, and I think
Texas,
they
yeah.
have Texas's number. I didn't watch the game because I was like in Indianapolis, so I missed the game. But I heard about Carson Beck, and I just feel like Georgia might again. I don't know. I feel like they could beat either of these teams, but I feel like they're not going to make a deep playoff run. They might win a game.
So I watched the Georgia Texas game, and my takeaway from that game is that Georgia could beat either Indiana or Notre Dame with their third string players.
Yeah, I think they're a good team. I think they can win their first game. I just like, can they win 3 in a row? I don't think they can do that.
I do, unfortunately.
Uh,
It pains me to say it. I don't love Georgia. When Michigan went in the playoffs 3 years ago, they got steamrolled, lost by 60 to them. So I've had a bitter taste
yeah,
in my mouth towards Georgia since
Georgia's a
then.
good team. Like I don't deny that.
But they're also pretty veteran. They've got a bunch of older players in important positions as well. They've got like they've got I'm so bad with names, but their offensive and defensive line
I
are
know
just
Tate Ratledge is the big
so
name.
good.
I mean, that's a great football name, Tate Ratledge.
Yeah, it is.
He's a football guy.
And they have the benefit of like almost all those guys have played in college
Yeah,
football playoffs
they've all
already.
played in the playoff. Like they
They
have
know
a
what it
team.
is.
But again, this is a different era, and I feel like we'll see. I'm excited. I'm excited to see them play. Do I think they're going to win it? No, because I'm biased. I think Oregon's winning it, but we'll get to Oregon.
We'll get to Oregon.
All right. Are we ready to move on to our first Saturday game? SMU Penn State. I've heard Penn State's doing a daytime whiteout for this game. I'm all for it. I love the whiteout. It's weird that it's during the day, but I'm all for it.
You should look up Penn State's record during whiteouts.
I have. I think we talked about it last time.
I think
Nadav,
you're
do you
right.
know what Penn State's record during whiteouts is? It's not that good.
I do.
They're like 500 because they used to use it on all the big games like a Michigan or Ohio State wouldn't win. And now they use it. I think they got lucky one year where they beat Ohio State during the whiteout.
Well, you gotta analyze. That's a hell of a stadium to play in. Penn State during the whiteout. The thing is, are you going to be able to have a team come in there and make the difference? And that's really what it comes down to.
Again, I like SMU, but like it's going to be hard going into Happy Valley is going to be rocking.
Now,
It
you have to
will.
ask a question here. You have a team like Oregon coming in and winning the Big Ten.
You did.
If you're a true Big Ten team, pre-merger, are you rooting for Oregon in that game? Or are you rooting for Penn State? And it's a tough one.
I'm rooting for Oregon because you know where my
Not you,
allegiance is.
Freddie, not you. But the typical
Don't tell me
Big
you rooted
Ten,
for Penn State.
Absolutely not. The thing is, I can't root for Penn State, but in some other regard, I don't want a team to come in from the Pac-12 and then just win. You kind of almost want a little bit of a
You want the
hey,
old Big Ten?
let's show them what's up. That being said, I think everybody knew Oregon was going to be a great team this year, and I actually did visit Freddie and Eugene a couple years back, and it was a great time. So only fond memories of the school. Penn State, however, absolute garbage program. Nobody likes them. So we're going to go ahead and saying
I will say one nice thing.
SMU.
The
I'm taking
fans were
SMU.
nice. The fans of Penn State are actually very nice people. Like, as far as opposing fans I've interacted with Utah fans, Wisconsin fans, like, and Penn State fans. And Penn State, I think Wisconsin fans were a little nicer, but Penn State fans were nice. Utah fans are really mean, by the way. They were very mean to me. To be fair, I was asking for it.
I could not disagree more. I think Penn State fans are the worst.
I don't have a good sampling. All right, like obviously, like Ohio State fans are not that great. I think we can all agree on that.
That's coming from an Eagles fan. That's coming from an Eagles fan.
I think like again, it's a small sampling size, and Utah fans were really mean to me. Again, I was asking for it.
Well, Freddie, it sounds like you have a biased take on all of these fan bases.
Of course I have a biased take, and also I beat all these fan bases when I was in their house because, let's be honest, it was like 80% Penn State fans at this game. Like
now,
Oregon
as an Oregon fan, how do you feel about Bo Nix and his performance in the NFL?
Can we just say at the start of this podcast, or not at the start of this podcast, at the start of this season, we had a friend of my show, Ben Brandeis, on, where I said, I've talked to our good friend Eli Hearn about this as well, where I said Bo Nix is going to be really good. And no one believed me. Eli has not apologized to me, but Ben has. He came up to me at Thanksgiving. We do Thanksgiving together, and he's like, Freddie, I owe you an apology. Bo Nix is really good. You might have been right about the whole Rookie of the Year thing.
Mm-hmm. Wow, you predicted Rookie of the Year?
I said, like, I was this close to taking a bet at plus 1,500, and I should have fucking done it.
Yeah, you should have.
You should have done it.
But back to SMU, Penn State. Like, is there any world where SMU wins this game? Like, is Penn State going to win this game? They're not going to win, like, the big game, but this is a home game against SMU.
Well, it depends. I think if Penn State goes into this game with a mentality that it is a big game, then they will lose because they've lost every single big game they've ever played.
They don't play Penn State football during big games. They're doing all this like trickery, all this dumb shit. Like that doesn't work in the end. Like
I agree. And they just got humbled too.
They went for two when they did not need to go for two in the Big Ten championship. Like they should have just kicked the extra point, made it a 7-point game. No, they're like, oh, we're gonna go for two, like way too early, and it didn't work.
I agree. They're not a well-coached team. That's been their problem this whole time.
James Franklin's the best they can do.
It is, but it's also not anymore. It was the best they could do before money came into the equation in college football. And now I don't necessarily think
Penn State's going to always have good boosters. They're going to have good NIL. Like there are a lot of passionate Penn State fans. And again, they don't have the money like a Texas A&M, but they have money.
Well, you see now all these new guys coming in, like Bill Belichick signed today.
Bill Belichick's going to UNC. Yeah, we got to talk about that.
Yeah, he went to UNC.
I don't know how he's going to do with NIL. I just don't think he's a recruiter.
He doesn't have to be. He just says, "Come play for me. I'm the greatest coach of all time."
So I've heard
everybody
needs to say yes.
Everybody needs to get paid $10 million.
I'm Bill Belichick. Like, come play for me, and his recruitment pitch is basically like, "Do you want to go play in the NFL? Like, come to UNC. I'll make that happen. I know how to play in the NFL."
And you know what? That would work on me.
I agree.
So,
all right,
that would you still have 4 years of eligibility left.
I mean, so do I technically. All right, but the winner
for UNC.
All right, but winner of Penn State SMU plays Boise State. We're an Ashton Genty podcast, and I love that we are Oregon is Boise State's one loss. That makes me feel so much better. Like Boise State is a very good team, and I'm really glad they got the bye. I think they deserve the bye. I think they're a great team. I know they're Mountain West, but I still think about it. Their entire offense is basically a running back, and they've won 11 games.
Yeah, he's unbelievable. He's probably running back maybe ever to come out of college.
Yeah, like I just like everything he does.
Where's your money going on the Heisman then?
I hate to say it,
Travis
it's
Hunter.
not going to be Dylan
Why would
Gabriel.
it? Why would it be? So Dylan Gabriel's not in the conversation. It's either going to
He's
be
going to
Travis
be
Hunter
there.
or
Genty.
or yeah, or
Because I feel
Genty.
like Travis Hunter, like, to be that good at two different positions is unheard of. Like, he's the best offensive and defensive player on his team, and he's one player. Like, you can't top that. Like, Charles Woodson wanted playing both sides, but he didn't like play both sides every snap. Travis Hunter does that. So I think it's gonna be. It hates. I mean, Dion is gonna take a victory lap, and then he'll probably go to the NFL.
Yeah.
Which again, I don't know why, but
Freddie, I would like to just point out that while we continue to talk about this, I do need to set aside a couple of minutes to discuss fantasy and fantasy implications, especially me and Joe's performance this season.
Okay, fantasy football. Okay, yeah. I mean, the podcast does know a lot about our league. What do you got, Nadav?
Well, not exactly our league, Freddie, but the one that me and Joe are in.
Is that why you wanted to come on the show?
It's sad for me to say today that unfortunately Joe and I missed the playoffs by 1 point, and that's not an exaggeration.
Do you guys share? Do you guys
points.
share a team or something?
We're co-managers.
And you know what? It was a series of bad decisions that put us in this position here. Nobody's happy about it. Certainly not me.
You lost by 1 point.
We lost by 1 point, Freddie. 1 freaking point. And I'm not over it. The thing is, we probably would lose this upcoming week. We can track to see what would have happened. That being said, we could have been in the playoffs. We should have been in the playoffs, and there's never not a chance when you're in the playoffs.
All right.
And it's pretty upsetting.
I'm glad you got that off your chest.
1 point.
We should go back to the original game. What was the game we were analyzing before?
We were doing SMU Penn State, and then we talking about Boise State.
Yeah.
I think Penn State is just going to win it just because it's at home, and I just don't think SMU is ready for a daytime whiteout. I think it's going to be electric in Happy Valley.
So here's my stretch of a take. I just think Texas knows ball. Remember when TCU came in and beat Michigan to go to
and look
the
what happened to
them.
Then they got beaten the shit out by Georgia.
Yeah, Georgia was an NFL team at that point. But I just think Texas knows ball, and I'm going to ride with the Texas teams in this.
All right,
playoff.
I like that. All right. And then we have our 4:00 game, Texas Clemson. This one actually will be kind of fun because you're going horns up on this one.
Yeah,
Texas
I don't
knows
think
ball.
it'll be close either.
I think Clemson again. Clemson's record. They got lucky getting into the
Yes,
the ACC. They're 0-2 against the SEC. They lost to Georgia. They lost to South Carolina. Again, if you're talking, I mean, I know they won the ACC, but if you're talking about teams that don't belong there, yes, Clemson is probably not one of them. That's hence they're the 12 seed. There was going to be a 3-loss team in the playoff, and it's not Bama, it's Clemson.
Didn't they win they won the ACC?
They won the ACC. Oh, yeah. So obviously they
in.
do belong there. Yes, because they did win the ACC. But if they hadn't won the ACC, they would not be there, and it would be Bama. Let's be honest.
It would be.
And because I was ready for a Bama playoff run. I was just mentally prepared. Bama's going to somehow find a way to get into this, and probably win a couple games.
I was on the same boat.
And I thought they were good enough to win a couple games. But no, Clemson, credit to Clemson. They played a good game against SMU. But it's not going to be close. Texas is Texas. And Texas, the only team Texas can't beat is Georgia.
Yeah.
That's I can't think of it.
Partially true.
Well, again, Texas wasn't tested for the season. No Ole Miss, no Alabama, no LSU. They had a cupcake of a schedule.
They did.
But I still think they're a good team.
They are a good team. I think they're better actually with Arch Manning than they are with Quinn Ewers.
Oh, they're going to be awesome next year. But I still think Quinn Ewers is the guy they're going to ride with because you got to ride with Quinn.
Yeah, he's a beast.
And again, they're not as good as last year. Last year, I think they were better. They had more dudes last year. That being said, they're still a very good team, and they're going to play Arizona State, and we need to talk about Arizona State because we love Kenny Dillingham on this podcast.
Really?
Well, first of all, he was the Oregon offensive coordinator for a year. So he helped Bo Nix become Bo Nix. He
Hmm.
was also Bo Nix's quarterback coach or offensive coordinator at Auburn. So he really helped Bo Nix become Bo Nix. So we got to give him credit for that. And he's just a fun guy. They were projected to be last.
Yeah, I don't know how fun of a guy he is, but he's definitely a very good
I think he's a
coach.
fun guy.
Why do you think he's a fun guy?
I mean, come on, like he's 34 years old. He's like basically a child coaching Arizona State. He's very good at like making a good pitch to get guys to come there. Like he's living out his dream. He's like, I was a student at this school. I'm making this football team better. This is what I wanted my entire life to make Arizona State better. And that's exactly what he's doing.
Yeah, it sounds like a fun guy.
I think he's a fun guy. I'm standing by that take. Wait, what's your argument for him not being a fun guy? Enlighten me.
He just seems very serious.
He's a coach. Coaches are supposed to be serious.
Yeah, but if you're being serious all the time, you're not really fun. It's not really.
I mean, he was literally like partying with the fans as they rushed the field. The first game they rushed the field, not the BYU game. That was different.
I'll give you an example of a fun
Okay,
guy. Nadav is a fun guy.
Nadav is a fun guy.
I'm a fun guy.
Nadav's out in LA trying to become an actor. That's a
Yes.
fun goal.
And for any talent agencies or people who like recruit actors, check Nadav out.
It's very true. And
I don't have like any sort of information to give up besides Google Nadav Herstik.
I'm such a fun guy. There's very little I can add to the conversation currently going on. I can add a lot of vibes, and I can add a good time.
You're a vibes guy. You're an all-time vibes guy.
I'm a color commentary guy, Freddie. I'm not really a play-by-play.
All right. So I think it's safe to
big
say
picture guy.
I'm a big picture guy.
Yeah, I think it's safe to say this is the easiest game to talk about Texas Clemson. It's Texas's game to win. They're probably going to win by like 30.
Picture, Freddie. What is Oregon's odds to win it all?
I don't know what their current odds are, but I really do think they're the best team in the country. I mean, they're number one for a reason.
I think I might go ahead and take a bet on them right now.
Please do. I hope they win because I think they will. I know people say they got snubbed because they have to play Tennessee or Ohio State. Okay, we beat Ohio State. Like we can beat Tennessee. I'm not worried about either team. Like Oregon is gonna be a good team, and they're gonna be a tough out if anyone can actually beat them, and no one has so far.
They just got funding from Phil Knight too, which is
Uh,
terrible news for the rest of the Big Ten.
we call him Uncle Phil as students of University of Oregon.
Uncle Phil.
Uncle Phil. Yeah, big Uncle Phil podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so unfortunate.
I think it's awesome.
Well,
I'm
I know
very
you do.
biased. Apparently, the story goes the day NIL became legal, he called Kayvon Thibodeau and he's like, Kayvon, let's make a shoe. Like he's like, we can do it. Like, what kind of shoe do you want to make? Like, let's make it happen.
That's awesome.
Because he's Phil Knight. He can do whatever he wants and he has all the money in the world and he uses that money to make Oregon great. And that is part of a reason why we're the number one team in the country. Not all of a reason. The players still have to play.
It's way easier to play when you have all the.
But
we
wouldn't have guys like Dylan Gabriel if it weren't for Phil. Guys,
that's
like
true. Exactly right. Dylan Gabriel just broke a bunch of records this year, didn't he?
I mean, yeah, because that's what happens when you play college football for 6 years.
Yeah.
Like, and again, like I think Dylan Gabriel is a great quarterback. Obviously, there's a reason why he's going to be at the Heisman. Is he going to win the Heisman? No, but he's a great quarterback. He's the right guy for the system. He doesn't turn the ball over a whole lot, and that's going to make a huge difference. And the offense was humming against Penn State. Like we didn't turn the ball over. We had like maybe 1 3 and out.
Yeah, that's scary because Penn State's whole thing is that they've got an unbelievable defense.
And what was that guy? Abdul Carter, the Big Ten bully. Yeah, where was he at? It's a little dumb when you're wearing a thing that says on your face says Big Ten bully. And did he get a sack? No. Our offensive line has gotten so much better. Like the team we saw against Idaho is completely different from what we have now. And we are a good
Yeah.
football team. And I think we are going to beat Tennessee or Ohio State. And let's talk about that game. Which Ohio State is going to show up on Saturday night? Or
They are
yeah,
frauds.
Will Howard's a fraud.
Well, that's their quarterback.
I know, but I know the rest of the team is awesome. They have the backs, they have the receivers, they have the defense for the most part.
Yeah, but they're mentally weak. They
But
never show up. They don't show
Will
up.
Howard
That's
is
what it is.
a fraud. But can they beat Tennessee? That's the question.
If you have a coach that can't score more than 10 points against a team who is 6-5, you're in trouble heading into the playoffs.
Yes, you are.
It's
And I
not like
think,
Michigan had like all these insane players. Their best defensive player, Will Howard, didn't even play in the game.
yeah,
We also had a
There's
walk-on quarterback at the time, our fourth string.
you
yeah,
were who was starting quarterback for that? Was it
Davis
Davis
Warren.
Warren? Yeah, Davis Warren's not that good. Like
He's
Ohio State
terrible,
should.
actually.
You go to Ohio, you're at your home stadium against your most hated rival, and you score 10 points. Like that is a problem.
It's a
It's gotta
huge
be
problem.
But
it's
also
gotta be a
Ryan
massive
Day,
day for Michigan
Ryan
football.
Day just might have a mental block against Michigan. And also, I will make the argument he has a mental block against Oregon because he's 0-2 against Oregon because he lost to Oregon in 2021. Who was our starting quarterback? They had CJ Stroud. You know who ours was? Anthony Brown
Nix.
Jr. A
Was it not
very
Bo Nix?
No, it was the year before Bo Nix. It was Anthony
Oh,
Brown Jr., a very average quarterback at best. Who, fun fact, his first game of the season, like his 1 year as a starter, I was pretty high on him. I may have shouted, Anthony, your Heisman campaign starts here. Didn't work out like that. I don't know. I thought he was really good. Like
he can still win it, Freddie.
he's in the NFL right now. I think he's on a practice squad, but he has started in the NFL. Fun
He
fact.
still,
He
yeah,
sucked.
He
he's
could go
not.
to UNC.
He could go to UNC.
Still
But yes.
eligible.
Anyways, Brian Day, the only other Big Ten team Brian Day has lost to is Oregon.
Yes.
Just saying, like he
Well, they
hasn't.
didn't even lose. Oh, they lost them this season. Actually, I take it back. I was
They
going to say
lost.
they didn't lose them while they were in the Big Ten, but
We
I
lost
take
them
it
in the
back.
past. We lost. We
Yeah.
lost 2021. They lost this year. Like Ryan
Yeah.
Day does have an Oregon problem as well.
I just think that he's a really good recruiter, and I
Oh,
don't
he's a
think
great recruiter. I don't
he's just
think
not,
he's
but
going.
he's not a good coach at
He's
all.
not. He's not going anywhere. Like they're
No,
gonna. There's no scenario where Ohio State gives up on Ryan Day because
I don't
at the end of the
agree. I
day,
think that they could easily bring back Urban Meyer.
do we want it? Do we want that, Nadav? Do we want Urban Meyer? Absolutely not.
I mean, I don't know. I don't think it would happen. What's even Urban Meyer was disregarded and disgraced from the NFL for yelling at players. I don't think he's really a
Also,
hot commodity at the moment.
Didn't he like go to like his own restaurant and like hit on like some girl like 40 years younger than him?
Yeah,
Yes,
what a
but
beast.
Imagine going to your own restaurant, like a restaurant you own, to go like be a creep. Like that's just like why would you do that?
Yeah.
but he's arguably he's the second greatest college football coach of all time.
Who's number one? Jim Harbaugh.
Saban,
Who?
Nick
Saban?
Saban.
Yeah, Saban's number one. But yeah, Urban Meyer is a great coach, but it's just like question is, does Urban Meyer want to coach again? I don't think he's too old school. I don't think he would be able to navigate this climate.
I don't necessarily disagree, but if you had a guy that could put some toughness on that Ohio State team, they would
But
be
the thing
a
is
national
like
champion.
if he choose out one kid, the kid's like, okay, I don't need this. I'm gonna go somewhere else. Like
Well, he did. He
he chewed
chewed
out.
out kids all the time, and they
Yeah, but they
won
couldn't.
championships everywhere he went.
I know. I'm not. And again, like I credit Urban Meyer for helping make Tebow because we're a Tebow podcast. He's on my Mount Rushmore of Americans. Fun fact.
That is hilarious.
We
He's in your Mount Rushmore of Americans. Who are the
I
other
th-
three?
let me see. We were talking. I was texting our friend Jeremy Spiro about this.
Tim
Let me see who
Tebow.
I read. Let me see what I have here. Um, let's see. We've got Tim Tebow. We got
Love
Brock
it.
Purdy.
Oh my
Uh,
gosh.
Season 25 Bachelor Matt James, and then of course Joey Chestnut.
I don't hate that list.
I
Thank
actually
you.
don't hate it. I don't know who that third one is, but
Matt James,
I don't know who that
season
is
25
either.
Bachelor, first African American Bachelor. I guess you just don't watch The Bachelor.
what
We
about
only
what about Frederick Douglass? Hmm?
Frederick Douglass,
What about who's the guy who invented peanut butter? Who's that?
Planters. I don't know.
Whatever.
Jimmy Carter.
I don't know.
Jimmy,
Whatever.
Jiff,
It's a
Mr.
good. It's a good
Jiff.
list. It's a good list, Freddie. I like it.
Thank you.
I think Ohio State is going to beat Tennessee. I don't. Want them to. I'd
And
be
the thing
happy if
is,
they lost.
Ohio State has not seen an offense that's just set up like Tennessee's. Like, I'm not saying Tennessee is the best offense. They have the most unique offense.
I think I would be surprised if Ohio State lost. Honestly, genuinely,
Because it's at the
I'd be
shoe.
happy with it. I'd be happy with it, but would be surprised.
It is at
I
the shoe.
agree.
It's a night game at the shoe. It's going to be loud, and I think, but Tennessee knows how to play in environments like that. They're an SEC team, like they are ready for this. And Nico is pretty good.
He's
I am
very good.
so.
How do you
just like
pronounce his last name?
Ima Lavea.
Emo Lavea.
I took me a while to get it, so I that's why I just call him Nico because I don't want to be insensitive and get his name wrong because I think he's a great player.
Yeah,
But-
no, he's a great player. He's a
And also, it's just better. It
redshirt
just sounds
freshman,
better.
isn't
Just
he?
call him Nico. Like it's just better when you're one name. That's so much cooler.
Yeah.
Like
He-
you don't
he's
need a
redshirt
first last
freshman,
name.
isn't he?
Yeah. So he's gonna be good. Tennessee's gonna be good for
That's scary.
a few more years. And the offense, it's my favorite offense to watch because I just love the side to side receivers, like using the whole field, like the spread offense. It's really cool.
Yeah, I agree. Ohio State will be ready for that.
I think I didn't have the time to be ready for it. But the question is either team beating Oregon? Because I
No.
don't think either team is.
I agree with you. I don't think either of them have a chance.
I think Ohio State might give us a scare. I think it'll be a close game, but it's at the Rose Bowl, so it's going to be a lot of Oregon fans are going to show up. I definitely thought about going. I'm going to be in California at a time, but I just bought a Big Ten championship ticket. I'm not going to fork up $500 more to go to the Rose Bowl. I thought about it.
You know what? You have to wonder why the Rose Bowl is a semifinal or is a quarterfinal game and not a semifinal game or the championship.
It should be the national championship.
It
The
should be
Rose
the
Bowl should be the
championship.
national championship.
It is iconic.
It is
Like,
iconic.
there's-
It's because they always put it on the first. It is iconic.
It's got to be
and
on
it is, by
January
the way,
1st.
one of the best days of my entire life was last year on the first when I went to the Rose Bowl.
Yeah, because you won.
Unbelievable.
And
We
also,
won.
you stole people's seats that weren't yours, and they just didn't show up.
Snuck on to the 5-yard line, first row, right on the railing, watched game-winning touchdown, game-winning extra point. We one of the most exciting moments of my life. You got to love that. Rose Bowl, top notch.
Also, Nadav and I went to the Big Ten championship, I think 3 years ago in Indianapolis.
Who did they play?
We did.
Was that the one against
Iowa.
Iowa.
Yeah.
They played Iowa, and it was, not kidding, Freddie, the most disgusting motel I've ever stayed in my life.
Oh,
So
motel?
gross.
It was
so gross.
It's a really gross city. It's not. No, who wants to go there?
Hence, I didn't stay in Indianapolis. I stayed like 30 minutes away.
I mean, good for you for winning it, but I would never go back there.
That was
Indianapolis-
such a gross
Okay,
motel.
well, you stayed in like a bad part of town. I just stayed 30 minutes south of the city.
Yeah,
They've got a great steakhouse in Indianapolis. I've never been. What's it called?
It's called St. Elmo's Steakhouse. They're
I
famous.
think that's right.
They're famous for their shrimp cocktail.
I think that's
Isn't there
right. Yeah.
Isn't there a St. Elmo's Fire, or is that a movie?
St. Elmo's Fire is a movie, but St. Elmo's Steakhouse is a popular destination, and apparently Peyton Manning had his own private dining room there when he was the quarterback for the Colts.
It's awesome.
Also, we gotta give a shout out to Lucas Oil Stadium. It is an A+ stadium.
It is a cool stadium.
Yeah,
It's a cool stadium. I'm just talking
No.
about the general experience, like ample amount of bathrooms, ample amount of vendors. I never had to wait in line for anything. Like, well staffed. Like, it's the little things that make the difference.
I did not
Uh,
think that's where you were going, to be honest.
first
Yeah,
time I went to Lucas Oil Stadium was I was 10 years old.
Didn't you want to go
I-
see Peyton Manning?
I went to go see Peyton Manning play Eli Manning because my older brother's a Colts fan and my middle brother is a Giants fan,
And you're
Or
a
was
Peyton
a
Manning
Colts
fan.
and I'm a Peyton Manning fan, and we went and it was great, and Peyton Manning won. Second time I went was of course for the Big Ten
against.
The first Big Ten championship we were in, I think I don't even know when the most recent one, but when me and Joe went to Michigan, we never made it. So that's all I know.
Yeah, like they had a good run, and I think Michigan's still gonna be good in a couple of years. I think this was just a rebuilding year.
It
I
was,
don't
but
think
we whiffed on the rebuilding year.
You're still Michigan though. You're still gonna get. You're still such an iconic program. You're gonna get guys
I
like
think the
God.
thing is nobody should be completely disappointed with how this year panned out. If you beat Ohio State and you get the number one recruit, I think you're happy.
You have the
And
number
we
one,
beat Michigan State,
And
and
we
you
beat
beat Michigan.
Michigan
But you beat
State.
Michigan State every year.
but it's still a
Not
rivalry.
Yeah, it's still
not
a
when we went
rivalry.
to college.
Yeah,
I
we
know.
lost to Michigan State.
Freshman year we lost to Michigan State, and a couple of Michigan State guys were heckling me and Joe outside of the Little Caesars Pizza.
Outside of Little
Terrible.
Caesars, Michigan State fans were like, "Yeah, we just won. Like we just came in."
Yeah.
I feel like Michigan State fans are not friendly. I don't know why. I just feel like they just give off bad vibes.
They just
It's their Super Bowl. They know they're not going to amount to anything else.
Did they make the playoff one year and didn't
Maybe.
win, but they made it?
It's
Yeah,
a
no,
really
they did.
terrible. Nobody's happy on that campus. It's disgusting. Me and Joe
I,
went one time.
I've never been.
Yeah.
I mean, I love going to Big Ten campuses. I did two of them on this trip because I went to Bloomington. Big Bloomington fan, hence the shirt. Loved Bloomington. I also went to Purdue. Uh, Purdue basketball is really fun.
Yeah, but that's it.
I went to a game and it was like actually like one of the best basketball experiences I've ever had.
It's because they all show up for basketball.
And
They
it's
don't
also
have a football
it's just a
program,
cool
really.
it's a they don't have their football team's trash. Like
Yeah.
they know that, but basketball they all show up. It's like a dome stadium, so it's just a circle around the court. So it's like really even the nosebleeds are still pretty close to the court, and it's an awesome experience. Like if you ever find yourself in West Lafayette, Indiana, go to a Purdue Boilermakers game. Even though I'm not really sure what a Boilermaker is,
They probably work in the boiler room.
they do. Also, I went while I was walking around before the Big Ten championship game. I went to the Indiana Historical Society because it was cold outside, and they had this whole thing about what a Hoosier is. No one knows.
I don't know.
No one knows. It's just a person from Indiana. There is no clear reason why they're called a Hoosier. Someone has said you're a Hoosier, and that's what they're called. There is no working definition of or origin story of a Hoosier, or no like confirmed one.
Only
They-
time I've ever really heard people say it was when people say, "Who's your daddy?"
Yeah, but again, like there is no good origin story that is like everyone can agree upon of how did people from Indiana become Hoosiers.
What are you, Freddie? You're a duck? The
I'm a
Oregon
duck.
Ducks?
We're a duck.
It's not the most exciting.
Uh, but does anyone? There's a billion Wildcats. There's a billion.
It's true. I wouldn't want to be a Wildcat.
I wouldn't want to be a Wildcat.
I mean,
There's
I'm
one
sure there's some
Wolverine.
high school. I'm sure there's some high school teams that are Wolverines, but there's one Wolverine.
There's one duck. All right. Anyways, it's been awesome. Nadav, thanks for surprising us all. I mean, I knew you were coming, but Joe didn't. All right.
I hope it was a great introduction.
It
We
was a
should have
great
made the
introduction.
playoffs. Congratulations on your run this year, Freddie. Go blue.
Oh, it's
And
still
we'll- and we'll-
continuing.
Yeah,
Oregon's coming home with all of it.
I think Oregon's going on the way, and I'm honestly not that upset about it.
Did
I
you
think
place
good
the
form.
bet?
No, I can't. I'm in California. But
Ah.
when I go home, I will.
All right. All right. I'll see you guys later.
Stay safe out there.
We got an exciting weekend of NFL games. It all starts on Thursday with the Rams taking on the 49ers. Both teams need to keep winning if they want to keep their division hopes alive. The Niners are still banged up, and the Rams are getting better. So I think the Rams, not only do they have a chance to win this game, I think they have a chance to win the division. They're getting healthier and getting better, and if we get a healthy Rams team, that's going to be a tough out in the NFC. Moving to Sunday, no more bye weeks. We got a lot of games, but not exactly a fun slot of early games. A lot of bad teams playing good teams. I do think Texans and Dolphins will be exciting, but that's about it. In the afternoon, we got a big one and a potential Super Bowl matchup. Bills and Lions. This game's going to be awesome. Two high-powered offenses duking it out. If they don't have 100 points combined, I'm going to be disappointed. This game is going to be an offensive clinic. I'm really excited for this game. We also have the Battle of Pennsylvania with the Eagles and Steelers, both teams playing really well right now. The Steelers' defense is going to be tested with defending Saquon. And I'm also kind of curious. I feel like they've gone against Philly recently, but I don't know when. They don't play each other every year. But I'm curious if they have an answer for the tush push, because if anyone does, it's a Mike Tomlin defense. And on Sunday night, we got the Packers heading out to Seattle to take on the Seahawks. The Packers need to keep winning. Unfortunately, we play our best football in December, but we want to get into playoffs, and we aren't going to win the division. I hate to say it. So we need to keep winning. The Seahawks are looking for a win as well to keep their playoff hopes alive. So this is going to be a great game, but nothing stops the Packers in December. And finally, we have two games on Monday night. We got Bears and Vikings, which will probably be a primetime embarrassment for Caleb Williams and the Bears, and the Raiders and Falcons, where it's possible the Falcons might see their old quarterback Desmond Ritter. He might start for the Raiders. The Falcons need to get it together because their only way in the playoffs is winning the NFC South, which is up for grabs. And the Falcons, they got a lot of talent. They just need to put it all together. And I feel like that's what we say about the Falcons every single year. That's our show for this week. Thank you so much for watching. We will be back next week. Big Fred, over and out.